And that also sets the tone for our next speaker. We have Rakesh Mishra, who's the Vice President Marketing Target in India. So let's repeat that round of applause. Please help me welcome on stage Rakesh Mishra.
Good afternoon, everyone. I know it's kind of cliche to say that this is an afternoon session right after lunch. But more importantly, I would say that I think about the last 2 days, and I think about all the buzzwords that you guys have heard. I think if I were to think about one word that summarizes everything that you have heard over the last 1.5 days, I would summarize that as change. And if I think about change and then think about what can we do to really, really triumph change, then it has to be learning. And I'm here for learning, and I hope as a part of this, I share a few things that you guys also learn something out of that. So with that, I'm going to focus on just the next 9 minutes on sharing an example from Target. So how many of you have heard of Target before? Okay, we are one of the leading retailers in the world, the second largest in the US. We run 1,850 plus stores. We have a thriving e-commerce platform, Target.com, 350,000 people, and serve millions of guests. We are here in Target in India too. We are an integrated organization with a parent organization in Minneapolis, and I lead the marketing team in Target in India. We have a diverse set of capabilities, and we work together for this brand and looking at how do we make it relevant for our millions of guests. And what I'm going to share with you today is a case study or an example of a marketing campaign which is anchored on relevancy. And more than that, I think it comes from this almost a maniacal sort of passion for adding value to our guests' life. Some of you have heard, and I think my co-panelists have heard, we do not talk to our consumers as consumers, we talk to them as guests. We think of them as guests, and that is how we think about that. So what I'm going to do today is talk about a marketing campaign that's called Target Run. Let's see if this comes up. It's actually a marketing campaign that, that's kind of focused on delivering value that would be meaningful for our consumers. And what we see here is that, let's see if I can go back, is that we think about this campaign with this notion of being anchored for our guests and being anchored on relevancy. So one of the trends that we kind of see today, and many of you who have heard this over the course of the last day and a half, is technology is fundamentally redefining our lives, fundamentally changing our lives. And how we think about that insight is emerging technology is helping our consumers to achieve more than ever they thought that's possible. The next is, if we think about how our brands sort of reacting to that, brands are competing with each other to meet these consumers or guests that we call in order to do more without actually them doing more, right? Or paying more, right? Obviously wanting to get more out of the money that they spend. And the third thing is, when you look at like truth from their perspectives, time is often seen as more valuable than money for the consumers. And you would think that, they would pay more if we can think about delivering on that time, but that's just not true. Consumers don't think that they are ready to compromise just because they don't have the time. And hence, as marketeers, I think we'll have to make sure that we are delivering them without this notion of asking them to compromise. And that is where we as the Target brand think about what do we want to be anchored on, and that's our purpose. And our purpose is We want to help all families discover the joy of everyday life. So focus on the word all, focus on the word kind of sort of discover, focus on the word joy, and then everyday life, right? So with that, the insight for this campaign is we have to think about how do we make sure that these guests have the potential to make the most of the moments that they're living that matter to them, and when we make it possible for them, we make it possible with less by them, but more from us. And that's the insight that we have sort of latched onto as we have thought about this campaign. And then the objective of the campaign was obviously motivate our guests to shop Target more, because that's our objective. But when we say that you have to shop more with us, how easy we can make it for them to do that. And when we think about it that way, then there are three sort of messaging pillars that we anchored on. One is that it is Target that they need to come to, which is this one-stop shop, right? Like you come here and we have got everything that you want at the easiest sort of the way. Next, we are ready to do everything that you need so that we can deliver it to you in the easiest possible ways for you. And the third, when we do these two things, we also make sure that we are doing it in a way that it's incredibly valuable to you. It's kind of, you don't have to pay a lot. You have to make sure that you are getting what you want at a great value from us. These are the three messaging pillars that we had worked on. Yet at the same time, if we go back to our purpose, we didn't want to do it only for one section of the consumers. We want to do it for all, meaning all ethnicities, meaning all family structures, meaning all life stages, making sure that we build a compelling proposition for everybody. Our campaign is designed to include all. Next, as we think about the campaign, what's the core premise? As brand marketeers, all of us know that we have all of the functional needs that our consumers want, our guests want. But if we want to really build a compelling picture, we cannot do that with the functional needs that we fulfill. We have to make sure that we build that functional need into a compelling idea that becomes an emotional benefit for them. And that's what this campaign has attempted to do. Next, obviously, many of you are from the media industry, many of you are from the creative industry, and we talked the last day and a half that as much as we talk about the new technologies, as much as we talk about what's happening with, kind of these magical AR, VR and all that, but the core creative, the core power of media are not going to go away. So this campaign lives in this intersection of harnessing the best of creative and the best of media, designed to service the celebration of the movement that the consumers crave for, yet at the same time, the brand makes it possible for them. It's our job to deliver it to them, yet at the same time, we do that in a way that feels almost seamless to them, right? Next is the campaign begins with them, begins with the consumers, begins with our guests, and ends it with relevance. So, kind of coming towards the end, there are three things. So when you think of a retail brand like Target, it has got the assortment, but the assortment's job is to make sure that it's connected to what they're aspiring for, what the consumers are aspiring for. It is connected to their life movement, and then you have a suite of services that bring this to life. Let me show you a couple of ad spots that sort of bring this home.
Game on with same-day delivery, order pickup, and drive up. Target run and done.
You will see another one that talks about
Deliver to your door so you
same-day
can do
delivery,
more.
anchored on the
More
same theme.
thrill. More skill. More chill. Target run and done.
Another
Try
one,
Drive Up at Target. Deliver to your car door so you can do more. More splash. More style. More smile. Target run and done.
and then finally, this campaign is just not about kind of this beautiful above-the-line TV spots or the great commercials. It's about extending that across the board as you think about like how does it come across in print, how does it come across in radio, how does it come across in out of home, and all of that. Basically, a very, very complex problem of assortment, the life moment, as well as the services that a retail brand like Target offers, which is buy online, pick up from store. You can buy this today, it will be delivered to you same day. You can buy this and we will restock it for you. Pretty complex sort of service architecture anchored on what we are there for our guests. It's delivered through this campaign. This has been going on since last year. As of today, this campaign alone has got 3.5 billion media impressions. It has delivered $1.9 billion marketing influence sales for our brand, but all in the service of the guest. So it's not the brand's voice, it's not the company's intention, it's about being anchored on what our consumers are asking from us and how do we deliver it to them. Thank you. Hopefully this makes a little bit of sense to you and it's an inspiration. We'll come back later and we'll take some Q&A at the time of the panel. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Rakesh. All right, so on that